Okay, for the last few weeks, I've been trying to get gains out of my transformer by essentially putting a short on a secondary. Now, I have a habit of trying to learn things back to front, and this is no exception. And I've learned a lot by this method of inevitable fail. But it was pretty convincing because I thought I was actually onto something. Um, so what I'm doing now is not that. What I'm doing is basically introducing a second primary. So two primaries on a transformer, along with my usual two secondaries. And that makes a lot more sense. But what I really want to do, the reason for this short video, is to clear up a few issues that I've left trailing behind me in my series of videos. And I shall title this one Cleaning Up My Act. This whole process has been incredibly useful, and I've learnt a hell of a lot, which is really the object of the exercise. So I feel really well positioned to take this knowledge forwards to my next steps. So, what I want to show you is the very first issue I ran into a couple of weeks ago. This will only take a moment, but it is critical. Typically when you're driving a coil, such as that, primary, when you don't have sufficient base drive, what you do is you run a Darlington pair. So you have a transistor acting as an amplifier, and that amplifies the signal to the next transistor. So how that works is you've got the positive signal going into the coil, and then that goes through the current meter and it goes to the collector of the transistors. So in this instance I'm using a resistor box, and I have the current coming straight from the coil straight to the power transistor, and then I have it branching off and also then going through a resistor box to the second collector. And this is the effect that has. 40 volts, this much light, and about 370 or about 350 milliamps. 350 milliamps at 40 volts. So now the issue with that is you're driving the base through the coil, which introduces the anomalies of iron and inductance and so forth to the system. So instead of taking our base drive from the coil, we're going to take it straight from the positive. And this had an immediate advantage when I did it before, as I expected it would. So there we go. Had it clicked on the wrong place. So we're going to dial in the same 40 volts, thusly. We have a lot more light, and the current has dropped from 350 to about 170 milliamps. Much more efficient. And this also is tied into what's going on the scope. As a result of that change, we have a perfectly straight up and down rise and fall time, absolutely perfect. No nasty signals, no oscillations, nothing, just perfection. Now, that's good. That is the reason for the current to drop, the clean switching. So now I'll show you the scope shot from the previous. Less light, 400, and actually it's about 420 milliamps, and there's our scope shot. I think what's causing that is the capacitance in the base of the transistor. There are a few ways we can deal with it, but essentially this is the problem that it causes, very bad efficiency, and this is the solution to it. Cleaning up our act. Now, that was no big deal, but what was difficult to diagnose was the second problem, which was a similar leakage inefficiency issue on the shorting coils. Now, it didn't so much manifest itself with 100 turns on the shorting coil. It was only very slightly noticeable, but once it got up to, say, 300 turns, that's really when the problem occurred, because it was higher voltages, and that was causing more leakage through my op-amp, which was why I made these custom, opto-isolators. That's why I made these custom optos. So, and all that that losses in the system, basically translated into the shorting coil effect working more efficiently. So as I gradually got rid of the losses and cleaned up the system, that shorting effect, which I've asked quite a lot of people about on professional forums, we still don't know exactly why it occurs. We cannot really explain it. It's just part of transformer theory. I'm sure it is explainable, and it will be in the textbook somewhere, but the vagaries of it are not readily explained. So there's two issues that's been causing us to chase our tails for the period. But that's quite alright, because we've learnt an awful lot from it. And I've determined that the original hypothesis, which is, of course, we can see gains by playing with the wave geometry, have proven that, yeah, intuitively, I was correct. You were much less likely to get this actually working via shorting than you were by introducing more energy to the system via waves. Both techniques might still prove to have some value, and I'm sure they will. If not practically, certainly in the realms of simple understanding and problem-solving confidence. So this is very good. I'm now going to go on and pursue adding more power to the system. Thank you very much. Just for my fellow boys out there who are working with the same stuff, I really wanted to underline the importance of what I just said by noting that in trying to make these systems work, they require doing voltage sweeps to raise and lower the voltage, as well as frequency and duty cycle sweeps, and all of these factors can change the context of what I just said. Having inappropriate resistances on here can have thresholds, i.e. a problem like this, as I demonstrated yesterday, would manifest at 40 volts but would not manifest at 35 volts. It was like an on-off switch. So simple frequency sweeps, if you don't stay on top of the potential for these problems, you are going to waste a lot of time with them. And there is a lot of potential for that to occur with this sort of playing around. So yeah, do be aware. Please do be aware. Let's not waste too much time with this.